Hello, listeners. Welcome along to this magic edition of the Super League Pod. It's episode 223. You've got Mark here with you, and joining us as well this week is Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Welcome back.
Good to be back. Thank you.
We're going to have to get a couple of crucial updates on you since you were last on the show. But first of all, before we do those, will you kindly give us information on this week's episode sponsor?
Yes, I'm very excited that this episode is sponsored by Sarah's Bookcase. Sarah sells Usborne books, and with access to over 3,000 titles from baby through to teenager, there's something for everyone. She also works with schools, so please get in touch to find out how you can get free books for local schools.
So how can you get in touch with Sarah's Bookcase?
Either on Facebook at Sarah's Bookcase or on Twitter. You can get in touch at Scoots28Mac.
Excellent. Okay, so anyone who's looking for some books for all ranges of children or events or that sort of stuff as well, Sarah's Bookcase can help with those things. So please do get in touch with Sarah's Bookcase. Great stuff. Right, the updates we need from you, Sarah, before we talk a bit more about Magic Weekend is, how are our friends, the Might and Warriors, getting along? They are making real improvements. They've had a tough couple of weeks because they've played two very good, very big West Hull teams. Giants of East Hull.
West Hull.
West Hull, sorry.
Yeah, some of their players are actually bigger than the referees. So that has been tough for them. But they are definitely making improvements, which it's really good to see. And excitingly, they've got a place at next year's Rhinos Challenge in Butlins, so that'll be good.
That's great. And some of the SLP listeners helped raise money for that already, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I assume there's going to be some more opportunities to help raise more.
Yeah, we'll be looking to do some more fundraising events over the next 12 months, really, just to help out with accommodation costs and things like that.
That's great. I'm sure everyone will back the team and our favourite chirpy, chappy scrum half, Joshua, whose skills I hear are developing in the kicking game, but also in the chatting back to refs game, sadly.
He was just pointing out where the referee went wrong.
Respectfully.
I'm sure it was respectfully.
I hope so. Okay, and the other thing we want an update on is the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, so Luke is a munchkin. He's part of the Lollipop League, which I'm not quite sure what that involves, but he has a speaking part as well as a singing part. And rehearsals are starting to get a lot longer. And he will be performing on the 18th and the 20th and the 22nd of June at Hull New Theatre, if anybody is in the area and would like to see it. Excellent,
that's great stuff. So thanks for those updates. For everyone, this show obviously is going to be, it's a kind of magic, as the five Freddies were singing on the pitch on Saturday at Magic Weekend. We'll be recapping all the Magic Weekend games and talk about the Anfield experience as a whole. We've got Tom Andrews, Josh Moole and David Powell on to talk about the day two's games. Me and Sarah are going to take you through day one's games that involved our two sides. We'll also have the news from the last week and all the other results, plus a look ahead to the Challenge Cup quarter-finals, which you have more interest in than me, Sarah. So,
definitely. Got to have an interest in something.
So yeah, we'll talk about our Magic Weekend experiences after we've talked about the games. We'll start now with some feedback that we've had about an event that took place on the other side of the Atlantic last weekend, the weekend before Magic Weekend, I think it was, or maybe the week before. Anyway, it was a couple of weeks ago now, but Martin Simpson, our friend who lives in Toronto, has got in touch about that. He says, I'm a week late, but wanted to get in touch regarding the America's Rugby League Nines. Last episode, Alan and Tim spoke about the Greece-Norway World Cup qualifier, and I should have commented on the inaugural America's Nines Internationals. The tournament took place last Saturday at Lamport Stadium in Toronto and brought together men's players from Canada, America, Jamaica and a combined Latin America team, the Latin Heat, as well as women's teams from Canada, Jamaica and an Ontario representative side. The USA won the men's competition. Their lightning pace helped them dominate, but Canada gave them a scare in round 3 when the game ended 14 each. Canada beat both Jamaica and a makeshift Latin Heat side. The Jamaicans took the opportunity to give a few players their first taste of international action and grew in confidence as the day went on. There was dancing and backflip celebrations in their final game. That sounds exciting. Canada won the women's tournament. They were put together weeks before the last World Cup, and like all the teams, it was great to see them getting more experience. I spoke with one of the Jamaican women's players who told me they were learning the game but hoped to emulate the men and make it to the World Cup. Bob Jowett of the Canadian Rugby League Association deserves a lot of credit for the event. The plan was to run it every 2 years, but it may be yearly as it was a bigger success than expected. And a story came out after about the event after USA player Kyle Dunham, who travelled 4,652 miles return trip on 10 buses to play for his country. Yeah, it was a 4-day trip each way to head over from Utah to Toronto to be able to represent his country in this Nines event. And then Martin signs off with Best Martin. So thanks, Martin, for getting in touch and telling us about that. If you want to hear more about that, check out our friend Nate Gladden's Rugby League in America podcast, because I'm sure he'll have that covered, and the USARL season kicks off soon. So do get around our friend Nate, the Rugby League in America podcast as well there. I've got a couple of shout-outs as well before we close down the opening to the show, Sarah. I just want to thank Tim and Alan for holding the fort whilst I was off drinking my way through Barcelona last week. I thought they did a reasonable job. They certainly played on the fact that I was a first-time listener, which entertained me. So yeah, thanks to those guys. What did you reckon of their performance without us, Sarah?
They were adequate, weren't they?
We might let them do it again.
Yeah, for a first time, they weren't too bad.
No, thanks to those guys. It was great that the show could keep going whilst I was out
boozing your way around Europe, yeah.
In Barcelona. Oh, exactly, yeah. Tried out all the microbreweries. I'm sure we'll get to that in recommends later on. Also, all the close to 1,300, I think it was 1,294 off the top of my head, in the end, who completed our fan survey.
That's a brilliant number.
It's fantastic. I mean, to put it into perspective, more people filled in the survey than attended London Broncos versus Wakefield Trinity last weekend. So I think that's a good result. We're really pleased with those numbers. The results will start being shared very soon. Some follow-up surveys are planned too on a couple of the key themes, because one of the questions we asked, those of you listening who filled it in will know, we asked sort of if you had the chance to kind of speak to the head of the Rugby League, the head of the Super League, what one change would you want to see them make? And so we put together some of the key themes that came out of those changes, and we're going to try and do some follow-up survey to the people who gave us their email addresses, and see if we can get a bit more quality of depth of information about some of those themes. The themes were around like league structure. Refereeing was a big theme in Hull, especially, Sarah.
I'm sure it wasn't just in Hull, though.
Oh no, not just in Hull, but very much both sides of Hull were adamant that we need to change the referees. But not just in Hull, you're right. And how we market the game was another big common theme that came out. What days games are played on. There was a lot of things that a number of fans commented on, so really it's going to be interesting to get a bit more quality of depth to that information. But thank you to everyone who filled it in. It's really awesome, and we're dead pleased with those numbers, and the results that I'm starting to put together look really interesting.
Excellent. Yeah, it'd be good to see them when you get them published. Yeah,
I'll certainly be doing everything I can to get them in front of the noses of the people who make the decisions at the top. And so yeah, if anyone wants to find out more about it, I'll make sure that get in touch with the show at Super League Pod on Twitter, facebook.com/Super League Pod, or email us superleaguepod@gmail.com. And once the end report is ready, I'll make sure it gets shared as widely as it is possible. Okay, that's the show opened up, Sarah. We're now going to move to what is actually quietly quite a big news week. Mm-hmm. This week. When I was away in Barcelona, I didn't quite realise so much was happening, but there we go.
Yeah. So in news, Super League has extended its sponsorship deal with betting company Betfred for a further 2 seasons. The current 3-season deal started in 2017 and will now run until the end of the 2021 Super League campaign. Super League Chief Commercial Officer Rodri Jones described it as a historic and groundbreaking deal. It is a significant increase on previous sponsorships and reflects the growing popularity and value of the Super League brand, he said.
Yeah, record deal can only be a positive for Super League. Hopefully the rest of the league structures can secure some sort of deal as well for themselves, but Super League obviously look like they've done a good deal.
Yep.
Okay, Warrington Wolves and England fullback Stefan Ratchford has undergone a shoulder operation which will keep him out for up to 12 weeks. He was injured in their recent home defeat to Hull FC. So do you know what happened on this injury?
No, I wasn't at the match. We were actually in the Lake District for my father-in-law's birthday. So Dad was there, but we weren't.
No, because I completely missed it as well. So, but Josh got in touch. He said, I think he's been Warrington's most consistent player over the last 2 seasons. He will be a massive miss for them. Can they have two? They can have Tuilula here if they like. Please, just take him. Yeah, well, they've got a ready-made replacement in Jake Mamo, and that's why they built kind of the squad they have this year. But yeah, hopefully, for Ratchford's sake, is a good player in our league, and we want to see those players on the pitch more.
Yep.
Not on the pitch.
Yep. So
okay.
Thomas Binns will rejoin Hull Kingston Rovers following the expiration of his doping ban on the 14th of July after signing a deal until the end of the season. The 24-year-old centre tested positive for cocaine in March 2018 and received a backdated 16-month ban in January. Minns, who made 49 appearances in his first spell for the club, was released by Rovers in July last year. And Tom Andrews got in touch and said, fantastic news. When he was initially banned before the story came out, I was pissed off. But when you take the time to hear his story and realise what he's been through, you get an idea of how he got to that stage and how it could have been worse, in fact. Can't wait to see him pull a jersey on again and rip it up.
Yeah, he certainly is a quality player on the field with clear troubles off the field as well. Hopefully he's put them behind him and he can avoid doing things that get him serious bans in the future. But interesting that Hull KR obviously backed their man and taken him back.
Yeah.
Warrington have confirmed that academy stars Riley Dean and Conor Wrench have signed new deals at the club.
Castleford Tigers have granted Jesse Senilafeo leave to return home to Australia on compassionate grounds. Jesse has returned home with his family last night. He knows he'll be missed in the short term, but he also knows he has our full support and backing, said Tigers Director of Rugby, John Wells. We've placed no time frame on his return and will work around Jesse on this one. We are a family club and family comes first.
Into the Championship then. Halifax have appointed Simon Griggs as head coach on a 2.5-year deal after a successful spell as their interim coach. Griggs, who's 33. God, Sarah, head coaches are younger than us now. This is not.
They are. It's getting worrying. But Gareth Ellis is still playing, and he's older than me.
Well, then there's a balance there.
Yeah, there's hope still.
Anyway, Griggs has overseen 4 consecutive wins since taking over from Richard Marshall, who departed after 5 years in charge. So he's had a good start to his spell, and taking him to a Challenge Cup quarter-final as well next week. Scott Morell has been named his assistant coach, and the club have also revealed that he will join its commercial team when his playing contract ends.
Catalan's winger Jody Broughton has joined Championship side Toulouse on dual registration. Broughton, who's 31, has made just 1 appearance in the last 12 months due to a torn bicep.
Halifax have signed young forward John Luke Kirby on an initial month's loan from Huddersfield Giants. Kirby, who's 20, is yet to make his first team debut for the Giants.
York have signed Hull KR pair Junior Vaivai and Will Oakes on a month's loan. Vaivai is 29, he's made 15 appearances for the Robins this season, while winger Oakes scored 6 tries in 10 appearances for the Knights last year. And Tom Andrews got in touch and said, seems strange at the time of writing, see what the rest of the week brings. They've sadly been a defensive disaster so far. Hopefully sometime ripping the Championship up gives them a confidence boost.
Vaivai's 29, he doesn't feel like a 29-year-old.
No.
But obviously, yeah, like Tom says, that